everyone, welcome back to our channel today. The whole gang's here. It's been a few days since I've recorded a video. I don't really have any reason that I didn't record. It just kind of wasn't in the recording mood. But I do have a video for you today, and I hope that this will be an interesting video. For those of you who know, I've been making my own dog food for Jade for like 2 years, for the last 2 years. And with Ginger, when Ginger came to live with us, she was on dry kibble, and I weaned her off the dry kibble and started putting her on the homemade dog food. She's doing really good on it. She's gained weight. She's thriving. And I like the fact that when I make the homemade dog food, I know exactly what my dogs are getting, what kind of things are going into it. There's no preservatives in it. It's made fresh. I can control the amount of seasoning and spices put in it and the things that I want them to have. But I haven't never really thought about the cost of it till one of my subscribers asked me, is it really cheaper to make your own dog food than to buy it in the store? That kind of got me thinking, is it cheaper to make it? Because it takes a little bit of extra work to make their own food, preparing it and everything, which I enjoy doing that. So I thought, well, I'll just investigate and see what I can discover about making their own dog food. Now, in order to discover which food was cheaper, I had to compare the two products together. So what I did was I bought some of the dog food from Walmart and compared the prices against that of what it cost me to make the homemade. Now, of course, I couldn't buy every single type of dog food that's on the shelf in Walmart. So I just picked out a few of what I thought was the most popular brands and compared them to my homemade dog food by servings. Now, when I make my homemade dog food, the base part of it is turkey, rice, and mixed vegetables. And then I go from there depending on what I have. It's different every time I make it. I use the ingredients that I have in my icebox. Sometimes there's leftovers. I always make it with turkey. I have so far. I may switch that up. I've just recently started adding eggs to it. I can throw in anything that I have as far as leftovers in the icebox. I can put that in there. Now, I do not give them raisins or onions because those are toxic to dogs. But I do throw a little bit of garlic and other spices in there. Now, the vegetables that I use depend on what I've got here at the house. But I use a bag of mixed vegetables, and I throw in a little bit of that. And I usually don't measure anything. I just grab handfuls of it and throw it in there to mix up for my dogs. If I make a chicken, if I boil the chicken for chicken and dumplings, or to make chicken noodle soup, I save the broth, I save the bones, the skin, the fat, and the gristle. Now, I don't feed the bones to the dogs, but if I have that, I will put it in a Ziploc bag, and next time I make dog food, I throw in the gristle and the fat and the skin and all that stuff in with the dog food. For the canned dog food, I only compared the canned dog food. I didn't do dry dog food. And I went to Walmart and picked out some of the more popular brands that they had there. From these I bought a 13 and 2 ounce can of pedigree chopped, and 12 and a half of what's called Pure Balance Pro. And then I also used the most popular, which is the Walmart brand, which is Old Roy. I got a small can, which was 13.2 ounces of bacon cheeseburger, and then one of the larger cans of the 22 ounce Old Roy. Those were the ones that I used in comparison for my dog food. And the way I did that was I kept track when I opened up a can of the dog food, how many servings I got out of it. A serving was for both dogs what they had in one meal. So that was considered one serving. So I counted how many times I got a serving out of each can. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I divided the servings into the price. And I'll get into that in a little bit later in this video. Now, as I had mentioned, each batch of dog food that I make is different depending on what I have in the house that day. But for this particular batch, I wrote down all the ingredients that I used to make it and divided them by how many servings I got in it. Always use the ground turkey, or at least I have so far. And I usually buy a 3-pound package, one of those round tubes, and split it in half. And the price of that is $9.78. So when you divide it in half, it's $4.82. I also use rice, and I figured out how many servings of rice I get in each bag of rice that I use. And I add a cup of rice. Of course, when it's cooked, it makes a lot more. Broth. I make my own broth with water and the little mixture that I use. I use garlic, mixed vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower mix. I throw it in 1 can of tuna. I used a little bit of spinach and liver. And for the liver, I just bought a package of beef liver and I cut it in half and throwed half of that in. I have all the prices written down here. And to make this batch up using these ingredients, it came out to $9.21. Now for the garlic and the bouillon, as I said, I make my own bouillon. I use this and I just add in 1 serving. I went by the amount of servings on the back, which is 38 servings, and divided that into the price. And a serving is 1 teaspoon. If I put 2 teaspoons in, then I would divide 2 into the amount of servings and divide that into the price to get the amount that I use for making the bouillon. I use this instead of buying chicken broth. Unless, like I said, if I boiled a chicken, I save the broth from that and I do add that in. And for the garlic, I find my minced garlic at the Dollar Tree. So this whole jar is $1.25. It has 32 servings in it, and 1 serving is 1 teaspoon. So if I usually just put 1 teaspoon in, so I just divided the price of this, but I took it in half at 16 because I rounded it off. I figured I might put 2 teaspoons in. But I buy this at the Dollar Tree, and you can also get the garlic like this at your local Walmart. And I generally keep these products around all the time, so I'm able to make the dog food whenever by keeping these on hand. And the rice that I use is brown rice, and I also get this at Walmart. I use 1 cup of this rice like this, and I usually put in 3 cups of water. Now I have been watching videos online where they make the dog food in a crock pot, and I have yet to do that, but they throw everything in there, including the dry rice, and cook it for 8 hours. So next time that I make the dog food, I'm going to try throwing the rice in there. But if I use it like this, I usually pre-cook this rice before I start on anything else. Then I brown up the turkey meat and add all the rest of the ingredients in. And now I will read to you the figures that I've gotten telling how much per cost it is so that you'll know if it is cheaper to make your own dog food for those of you who might want to be trying it. And I do have a recipe in my playlist for making my own dog food. I also have a couple of them in there where I've made dog treats for any of those thinking about making your own dog food. And you want to go and watch the Bake With Me videos on making homemade dog food and making homemade dog treats. And here are the figures that I got on the cost. Now, the first ones I'm going to give you are the ones for the food that I got at Walmart. And like I said, of course, I couldn't do every single dog food out there. I just picked some at random that I felt were most popular ones. The Pedigree was $1.82 a can. And for the servings I got out of it, it come out to 91 cents per serving. The Pure Balance Pro was $1.58 a can, and it come out to 79 cents per serving. Now remember, per serving is for 2 dogs. It's for both the dogs because right now they're both eating the exact same amount. The Old Roy, the small can of Old Roy, was $1.22, and it come out to 61 cents per serving. And the larger Old Roy that I got was 22 ounce, and it came out to $1.72 per can, and it came out to 57 cents per serving. Now for this particular recipe of the homemade dog food, using the ingredients that I told you about earlier, turkey, rice, broth, garlic, mixed vegetables, broccoli cauliflower mix, tuna, spinach, and liver. Dividing all those into portions that I used, the total for that came out to $9.21. Now, usually when I make a batch of dog food, it will usually last me 2 weeks, a little bit more depending. In the beginning, it depended on what I was serving because I was giving Ginger a whole lot more than I did Jade. So it probably wouldn't last me as long. Now when I make it, it's going to last me at least 14 days. For this particular batch, the servings that I got was 16 servings out of it. And remember, one serving is for 2 dogs. They both get the same amount in their serving. Using the 16 servings, I divided them into the 9.21 and I got 58 cents per serving. Comparing that to the can, the Old Roy 22 ounce one, which was $1.72, comes out to 57 cents. So it is 1 penny less than the 58 cents that I used to make the homemade. So I think a penny is pretty close. And I will continue to make the dog food because I know I'm giving my dogs the best that I can by putting in the ingredients that I know are healthy for them to have. So there you have it, a comparison of homemade dog food compared to store-bought dog food. I did the test so you don't have to, so that if you want to do this for your dog, you can know that it's probably a really good price of making your own homemade dog food compared to what you'd buy in the store. And you also have the benefit of knowing what you're putting in your dog's body compared to what you're getting in the can that you buy in the store. So thank you guys for coming into our channel and visiting with us today. We appreciate you so very much. And y'all come back and see us any old time. Bye for this one.